The International is coming. The world's best Dota 2 teams fighting for their chance to be forever remembered as the greatest players of all time. Each team and player bringing with them a unique story to share. This is the International Lowdown, and this is the story of OG. The Comeback Kings. Known as one of the most successful Dota 2 teams of all time, OG has seen its fair share of challenges. But when their backs are up against the wall, no single team is more famous in Dota for pulling through and dominating than OG. Looking at what the team has accomplished in their very short time, it's pretty hard to remember that the team started from very humble origins. Originally created by best friends Notale and Fly, who had been playing video games together since before Dota 2 even existed, the organization was one of the few successful player-run orgs in existence in the Dota 2 scene. While the world assumed that the new organization would take a little bit of time before they could really win anything big, shortly after forming, the team headed to the Frankfurt Major, Valve's first official major. It was there that they barely made it to the event at all and began their long journey in the lower bracket, one single game away from losing it all. Yet, the team would explode in that lower bracket. With unique drafts and fantastic gameplay, the team would rise up to win the entire tournament in one of the most famous Cinderella stories in all of Dota 2's illustrious history. OG would continue their unprecedented major win streak, winning back-to-back majors a few times, and ended their triumphant season only finishing second in Shanghai before the International 6. But when it came to TIs, it was a different story. The victims of the biggest upset in international history, OG, who was thought of as a shoo-in to win all of TI6, was defeated by TNC. After a year of dominance, they got crushed. But OG is known as the Comeback Kings, and they would come back yet again after nearly an entire team roster swap. Fly and Notale's new team had a pretty good year, and on their road last year to TI7, they held 4 out of the 7 major titles. But yet again, they faced hardship at the International, finishing, sure, better than last year, but they never even made it out of the lower bracket. In a move that shocked the world, the team built up on friendship and love had a split that nobody saw coming. When it looked like OG had no chance to make it to this year's International, the co-founder of the organization, Fly, joined EG, taking one of their best players, S4, right along with them. The blow changed OG to their very core. They were assumed to be dead in the water. And in their darkest hour, when the entire world figured, there's no way they're coming back from this one, the Comeback Kings, they came back again. They destroyed one of the hardest regional qualifiers in Dota and made it to the International once more. Now, they enter TI as the underdogs for the first time. If you know OG, then you know that this is exactly where this team likes to be. OG would not exist at all, however, without Notale, a player who is beloved by the community at large. Notale's MO is that he's pretty easy to understand. Be nice to people, and they'll be nice right back to you. One of the friendliest and happiest pro players in the entire scene, Notale created OG in an attempt to take care of his fellow pro players, giving them an organization that fought for their interests and protected them in the wild world we know of as competitive esports. The community knows him as a flower, sweet, perfect, and kind. Pro players, however, know him as quite a pain in the butt in the game. A skilled support player, Notale has had a great competitive run throughout his career and has been supporting top-tier teams since 2012. Starting off with Fnatic, but making rounds on famous teams like Team Secret and Cloud9 before forming his own squad. He is famous for his off-brand ways of playing heroes and lanes, making his own strategies and thinking outside the box, making supports into carries and building items on heroes that they should really have no business having. In his words, in Dota 2, anything can work. Notale talks a lot about friendship and love for his team, which made the split of longtime friend and co-creator of OG, Fly, that much more shocking for the rest of the world. Now, Notale and Fly will arrive to TI8 as rivals for the first time since 2015. The one major that OG got second place at instead of placing first in their historic run was the fabled Shanghai Major, where ex-pro player, now panelist Effing Mad, noticed their struggle. He was fascinated by the team, and when he thought that he saw the flaws they had at the event, he offered to become their coach and help them get back on track. Surprisingly willing to give him a shot, OG let Mad come on in as coach, and they would go to win major after major because of it. At the time, the team credited many of their victories to Mad, who in his heyday had quite the illustrious career himself, as he had started playing Pro Dota 2 right around the first International. For most of his career, Mad had the smarts, but he lacked the skills to make it as a successful pro player, earning himself a few victories, but never making it to the finals of any big tournament. After nearly 6 years of trying, Mad finally stepped away to become an analyst in the scene instead. But coaching OG, that inspired him. During one of their transition periods, the team used Mad as a stand-in, and when he had some challenges at first, Mad soon reminded the world that he was, once long ago, a very good pro player. With their ex-coach on the field of battle, OG is succeeding, and Mad has finally found a team that he has always wanted to play with. Anna's OG story is a very interesting one. He was a relatively unknown player when OG picked him up, putting some time and as a stand-in in China, but teams really never gave him a big break. OG, however, really believed in him. Anna had been brought in to replace the one and only Miracle, who at the time was unquestionably one of the best players in the entire game, not to mention the best in the mid. The community instantly pegged Anna as the sole weak link on the team. They endlessly mocked him and blamed him for everything that went wrong on OG. But after a short adjustment period, they had nothing to mock him about, because he couldn't stop winning. Anna was a star player of the team after quite some time, absolutely decimating teams around the world and earning OG even more victories at the majors. After his incredible run, Anna decided that he needed to take a little time off, and he left Dota 2 Pro Gaming for quite a while. But when OG needed the help most after losing Fly and S4, Anna returned from the darkness once again to take OG right on back to the top, which he still seems to be doing. Anna is now playing carry for the team instead of the mid, but that doesn't really matter much, as OG has always given him everything that he ever needed in the game to shine. JerAx was one of the power players brought in to reinvigorate OG on the run to TI7, and he did just that. The Finnish superstar began his career much like OG's humble beginnings, forming a stack with his good 4 friends. They called it 4 Anchors and Sea Captain, and the squad was comprised of just a bunch of Finnish buddies, Matumbaman and JerAx, who rose through the charts quickly and made waves all over the European qualifiers. Matumbaman and JerAx would leave the team together and join a few squads before both joining Team Liquid and bringing that team to a whole nother level, straight off of Finnish power. When Liquid would be defeated time and time again by their biggest rivals at the time, OG, JerAx began to really respect that squad, and he felt like there was a lot that he could learn by joining his hated rivals. Leaving his now best friend behind to grow himself as a player, JerAx joined OG and has been improving significantly ever since. World famous for his Earth Spirit plays, and early on in his career, JerAx played the hero so well that the hero became synonymous with him, having players around the world imitate his style and forcing every single team out there to have a JerAx-like player in order to succeed. A fun-loving guy with a smile on his face, JerAx has always been a great fit for OG. And when he was given the chance to leave the team before TI8 in a desperate scramble to find a new one, he opted to stay instead, to try to help his brothers make it to that grand stage. Thanks to JerAx, we get to see OG at TI8, and we all hope maybe we get to see that famous Earth Spirit a few more times. And finally, we've made it to Thompson. After Matumbaman and JerAx left 4 Anchors and Sea Captain, the team continued adding more Finnish pros and rebuilding as 5 Anchors, no Captain. Yeah, their Sea Captain sailed away some time ago. One of those anchors, however, would later be Thompson, a pub star who has been playing for years. Thompson is unique in that he is extremely entertaining, and he has streamed his entire journey from being a pretty good pub player to one of the best players in the world over the last few years. He is especially aggressive in that middle lane, especially on his Invoker. Where most Invokers are relatively worthless in the beginning of the game, his is diving your towers with a Quas-Wex Spirit Vessel, dropping meme hammers on your racks by 12 minutes. Also well known as one of the world's best Monkey King players, he has been bringing his own brand of in-your-face violence to pubs for quite some time. But now, he's finally able to bring that beatdown over to the pro scene. And that is the tale of OG. A team that was born by fire, stress, always one step away from crumbling, but always finding a way to pull through. Once, they were the underdogs. Once, they were the best team in the world. And now, they're coming back from the brink of complete destruction only 2 months before the start of the International to play in the tournament once again. OG has been a fan favorite because of what they stand for, their friendship, their plays, and the fun that they have at every single event and every time we see them at tournaments. And every one of their fans knows that this team performs best when the world thinks that they have no chance. But the Comeback Kings are ready to take their throne for the first time at the International 8.